Came in very, I've got a box here, I'll tell you all about that in a minute. Came in very tentative. Boom, baby! Mate talk time. Welcome, everyone. Line myself up. Let's do this thing. I hope you have an awesome drink, naturally. The drink of the gods. I'm sorry, a lot of people are going to challenge me on that, but the drink of the gods is mate. I can see them all sitting around drinking mate, like the Greek god Zeus and everybody else. I hope you do have an awesome drink, whatever that might be. For me, as I mentioned, I mean, if Messi drinks mate, forget about it. It is the drink of the gods. Allora, so I've got a few things. I've got a cool theme that I want to share with you today about brands or fragrances that don't really ping a lot that I've seen. I want to put them on your radar for you to check out. Let me just take a small drink. My brain's going, just take a sip, brother. Take a sip. Divine. These are the headlines. So at the end of the, when I talk about the fragrances, I'm going to talk in a little bit more detail about some of the announcements. One is the Milan meetup at the FUEGUIA boutique. Date has changed, I'll tell you more. Secondly, it is going to be my birthday, so NFC is going to be 4 years old. And rather than you buy me presents, no need. I'll buy you presents. So I'll have a number of giveaways to do, so there's some promos in there. And then the last announcement is, last week I talked about Pantheon Aroma, and I had a gentleman by the name of Roy. And Roy, I want to say, I love the friendship, the tone that you had. I sensed your friendship in that tone, the way you opened up your comment and then the exchange that we had. We've never met, so I don't know who Roy is. Other than he is a member of the channel, so thank you for the support. But I did sense the friendship in the conversation, and I'm grateful for you raising that question. So I'm going to talk about what he asked me the question of, which is, why do I rate everything 10 out of 10? What is that about? I love the way he said he had big hippo eyes as I gave everything a 10 out of 10. I'll tell you more at the end. But for now, let's talk about perfumes. And in particular, let's talk about perfumes that don't seem to, from what I've observed, ping a lot on other sort of fragrance reviewers and things of that nature, or not many people are having a conversation around. Even to the point, and I dare say, look, I would say that Kevin, my bestest friend and business partner, he's across a lot of brands. His knowledge when it comes to fragrances is exceptional. One of these, and when I come to it, I'll tell you, he had no idea. He had never seen this before. So I'm super excited to put these forward to you. These are 5 fragrances that I would strongly recommend that are head turners, that are statement makers, that are just exceptional, but not a lot of people talking about them. Boom, let me begin. First one is, and this brand you have heard of, okay? So NASOMATTO. I bang on about this particular fragrance sales. It's Alessandro Galtieri, you know. I do have like a little shrine with Alessandro, you know. And I sort of, you know, anyway, I don't actually, I'm being silly. But I do love his work. I do love his creativity. I love the way he approaches the art of perfumery and how he expresses himself. One thing that happens, and I think this is why ABSINTH, so the one that I want to talk about is ABSINTH. One thing that does happen across the other NASOMATTOs and even the Orto Paris is that there's a sense of I was going to say, it's not exploitation. No, that's the wrong word. It's sensationalism. That's it. And I mean, let's take Saro Naso as a good example, where he had the very phallic lid. I mean, tell me that isn't deemed as a marketing ploy to draw attention. I mentioned for those people who saw earlier the conversation that I had on Saro Naso when the video first came out. I was on a train and I was watching this thing, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa. What am I looking at? You know, I felt very uncomfortable that somebody could be looking over my shoulder going, brother, what are you watching, you know? But all that is designed as a marketing hook tool to create a sense of sensationalism and therefore draw attention to that particular fragrance. In this case here, ABSINTH doesn't have any sexual hook. A lot of this stuff is very sexually charged, whereas the only thing that could be sort of surrounding this is the drink ABSINTH, which may cause inebriation, but yeah, okay, cool. There's nothing sexy about that necessarily, being drunk. or seeing the green fairy, as it was referred to when they used to drink it. So I think this is why this fragrance flies so low under the radar. I did a top 5 of all my NASOMATTOs, and this is in my top 5. So this is a fragrance that I'd like to put on your radar. Some people find it that it's straightforward. I don't feel that way. I actually find that it's super complex. There's a lot going on in a realm that is almost classic, meaning, so most gentleman fragrances do love that aromatic, fougere style, woodlands, sort of woodsy sort of scent profile to it. This bounces around in so many different directions. For me, on opening, I get the only thing that is consistent, and then you can say, yes, this does have, is that absinthe note, that licorice, that bitterness, that herbal. That, for me, is, look, again, Alessandro Galtieri does not reveal notes, and I would be floored backward if in the end he turns around and says, actually, ha ha ha, joke's on you. I never put any absinthe in here, it's something else. Because I'd be like, what? Because for me, and maybe it's Inception, I get a very pronounced herbal, bitter, licorice, aniseed part to it, a piece to it. For me, when it opens, it starts with a beautiful, sweet, licorice-like caramel. There's a beautiful, see, I love salted caramel. I don't like the deep salted, with that ammonia sort of intensity. I like more the sweet, creamy, silky, salty caramel. So salty licorice. I've had one that was a caramel. So it was licorice, salty, and caramel together. Man, that was just like, forget about it. And when this opens, I get that. I get this beautiful, not like tonic, but this creaminess, this caramel, vanilla touch to it. There is that scent profile of that licorice, but with the sweetness added to it. It's divine. If I stop and linger on it, I then begin to get these other wood-like elements to it. Things like the patchouli, the damp earth, the vetiver, the moss and things of that nature. The best way, so I'm looking at my time, yes, everything's good. The best way that I can define this fragrance for those who are familiar with, so if you've been to Melbourne or you live in Melbourne, there's an area called the Dandenong Mountains. And whether you've been there or not, I'm sure you may have come across something like this. The Dandenong Mountains the atmosphere in the morning is moist and damp. There's this beautiful, I think it's above or around the clouds, so you're getting this beautiful moisture. There's a lot of ferns and there's a lot of rotting woods. It's these beautiful woodland areas. It's not a classic Australian bushland, so the gum trees and the eucalypt and all that sort of stuff. In fact, it's like a rainforest. I think that's the key of it too. Now, the scent profile. So one thing that we love doing is going to the Dandenong Mountains, whether just to walk around and enjoy the atmosphere, or we actually have a bed and breakfast. We go to bed and we stay there. So in the morning, the scent profile is a mixture of this moist, damp air, the earth, the trees, the woodiness of them, the mossy component of it. And the thing that I love about absinthe is that it never goes into, there's nothing rotting. So sometimes I know that, like, let's take Vita there for example, which is another great aromatic, wood-like sort of masculine fragrance or masculine leaning fragrance. It has a rotting sort of element to it. It's like you've been sleeping in the actual forest itself. It has seeped into your skin. Here, because of that sweetness, because of the brightness, there's a different angle to it. It still has the woodland elements of it, but it's not so deep and not so sort of dark and overshadowing. All right, I've got it right here. See, and this is the other thing too, where it starts and where it is now and where it dries down, all different places. The part that blows my brain is it does start with a sweetness in there. There is like that caramel licorice piece that I mentioned. And then it moves across to this sort of musty, mossy, patchouli, woody sort of place. But interestingly, when it finally dries down, so now I'm talking about 6+ hours, on my skin, I'm getting the sweetness comes back. For some, you know, it actually loops itself back again. But now with the patchouli touch or this earthy vetiver greenness to it, the licorice, aniseed, I'm going to say absinthe, never leaves the actual fragrance. I love it, honestly. The best way to define it, because this is a fragrance that Sandra does not like on me. It is what it is. I love it on me. This is one that I wear for me. This is one that I love as my own personal statement maker. It's something that sort of brings confidence. She did mention that she detected some kind of animalic. And one thing that I do feel that it might have is possibly some oud in there, but not the fecal stinky type, but the woody, dense thickness of the oud scent mixed in with green. So the best way to explain that is a green oud. I feel like it has that oud touch, but in a green oud. There you go. It's not complicated. Boom. Guess what happened before I started? Can you see that? I dropped my mate all over it. So have you guys seen that movie, The Jerk, with Steve Martin, where he's reading the goodbye letter from his girlfriend, and he's like, you know, not sure what happened there. It's super hot today, so maybe the camera overheated. I don't know. Anyway, what I'm saying is, boom, I destroyed my notes, so good luck to me. I'm running on memory. I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I wanted to share on that. Oh, okay, so, yeah, the level of projection, yeah. So it's not it's a very moderate to low fragrance. It doesn't have massive projections. People come closer to you, they will detect it. It is, for me, it's very discernible. I can smell it on me. And as I mentioned before, it's not necessarily a fragrance that Sandra enjoys when I'm wearing it, but I love it. I love it for me. It's my office fragrance, or if I'm going out, if I'm doing something that I just want a bit more pep. I love that greenness, patchouli, woody mossiness to the fragrance. I just love it. I just enjoy it for myself. And then the last thing is probably about 6 to 7 hours, depending on the weather. In hot weather, it doesn't perform as well. Cooler weather, fantastic. I find that for me, it is a cooler weather style fragrance. Boom. Recommendation, baby. Everyone talks about Duro, everyone talks about Black Afghano, blah-de-blah. I'm going to throw this one away because we're done with that. But Absinthe, really, it's a hidden gem within that collection. All right, moving on. Another brand that I absolutely love and doesn't get a lot of airplay. There is some people who are out there talking about it, and that's PANA as a whole. I'm going to talk about Velvet Iris, but before I go there, I compare these guys, and this is going to be a big call, all right? I compare these guys to Xerjoff, meaning that their actual juice, the presence of the fragrances, the volume, the longevity, all that stuff is on equal par. Very strong performing fragrances, fantastic. The collection that PANA have is immense. That's part 2. Similar to Xerjoff, a lot of different, it's not as large as Xerjoff, but there is something for everybody within the actual house. And the last one is, they, presentation-wise, is on par with the Xerjoffs. When you put this on a shelf, it stands out. People are going, what in the world is that? Which fragrance, you know, what brand is this? So I'm surprised that I'm not seeing a lot more on PANA. Rest assured, I am going to be doing a lot more on PANA. I've been testing quite heavily. I'm expanding my collection when it comes to these guys. And this is one that I discovered very early on through my good friend, Kevin. Kevin actually, so I guess to reveal more, Kevin doesn't like Iris. He's not a huge Iris fan in his fragrances. Yet he actually rates this one very high. What I love about Velvet Iris is that, yes, it's an Iris fragrance, so there's no mistake in that. However, it comes at it in a whole different angle, a whole new and unique way. Sandra, yes, my wife, I've said that before, also not a huge Iris fan, and yet this is a fragrance that she's like, oh, what is that? So again, this is one that actually pings really, really well for her. So I'm deeper in the dry down, and I want to talk about the way the fragrance evolves and shifts and moves. If you look at the notes, you would think to yourself that this is a gourmand fragrance: chocolate, caramel, vanilla, raspberry. I've said this before about Ibrahim. The man is a wizard. I don't know how he does it. You read the notes and you think you get an idea, or you have an idea as to what you think the fragrance is going to be. Then you spray it and you're like, Bob, I have no idea. I don't know where are these notes, you know? The fact that he's listed them as pieces in this fragrance, then the assumption is that they belong in there. One thing that I love doing, and so Italian, one thing that I love doing is not looking at notes. So whenever I'm testing, I mentioned this last week with all things Pantheon, that push the notes aside, just experience the fragrance. What is this really about? And when I first experienced this, interestingly, on opening, and again, Kevin asserted that he had the same experience, it has like a slight booziness to it. But not in your classic whiskey and things of that nature. It's almost, I think to myself, like a sangria. So you have the red wine, the fruits that are in there, not necessarily spices, because I know sometimes sangria can have some spices in there, but it has that booziness mixed in with some fruity touches. It's actually divine. It really, it's super, on first spray, you are like, whoa, what is this? And recently, Sandra, in experiencing the fragrance, did the same thing. She's like, why haven't you brought this around before? It's like I'm gatekeeping this stuff. I'm like, sweetheart, fragrances are all, they're for everybody. It's just that, you know what it is? We have a vast collection, and then sometimes you just don't realize what these are doing anyway. So that opening is super ensnaring, and if you look at the notes, you think, well, where is this rum, this boozy component? And yeah, rum, it could be, because the funny thing is, I also thought the sweetness of rum, but again with fruits, with a slight boozy. Anyway, it does then migrate to a very gentle, powdery, floral iris. And finally, it does settle where I am now into that more green, that green iris touch to it. Chocolate, never pick up on it. Caramel, I don't know. Vanilla, yes. So it has a sweetness in there, and it also has like a sour musk tone to it. I know that there is a musk in the base. It doesn't define whether it's like a synthetic musk, or I'm guessing it's going to have to be, because animal musks are all out. Excuse me while I smell again. It does have a slight lactonic, and it could be that caramel, you know. So it has a slight lactonic. Think of, for those who are familiar with Remember Me by Javoy, that lactonic sort of milkiness that's in there. But in such a bizarre way, and maybe now that I think caramel, maybe it is caramel, but with this iris, this powdery floral iris. It is magical. Now, from what I've seen, a lot of people loving this fragrance are more female leaning. And so I'm going to say, ladies, this is an easy one for you to include in your collection, or one for you to explore. Boys, this is gorgeous. This is exceptional. And no matter who I show this, so recently my son came over, I have them on display. He grabbed this, he chose this as he's going out fragrance. One spray, he's like, whoa, forget about it. And he's like, pop, 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 knocking himself out with Velvet Iris. When it comes to its performance, it actually falls into the moderate. So it's a very defined moderate. So it has good projection, not a room filler, but definitely not a body scent. 6 to 5 hours. Sorry, what did I write here? 6 to 8 hours. 6 to 8 hours. It's this. Check it again. Look at this thing. Oh my gosh. 6 to 8 hours when it comes to its longevity and the wear on me. People are detecting it. I was wearing this at the Australian Open. I mentioned last week that I worked at the Australian Open. A lot of sweating, a lot of everything. But this on me, again, beautiful scent cloud, very calming scent. It has a beautiful scent profile to it. Massive recommendation. Not a lot of people talk about it. Bada boom. Let me move on. All right, next one. This is an interesting one. So this is the house of FLORAIKU. Let me take a small drink. My brain's going, can I just have a little drink? Have a look at this. So we went to FLORAIKU for our France fragrance tour. It was an awesome experience, can I just point out. The people there were so gracious to us. I discovered this brand a year ago. Yep, I was in Paris, blah, blah, blah. Went to the boutique and just like, whoa, this is so cool. It's such a cool environment. If you ever get to Paris, go to the FLORAIKU boutique. It's a really awesome experience. The young man that's there, his name is Sergio, and he is so knowledgeable. So he has a calming energy. I recommend checking out the boutique. Anyway, one thing I've discovered with FLORAIKU is that people have, and I don't understand why, this, well, I've read some comments, I should say, this high level of animosity towards the brand. I always compare it to, well, no, as I was comparing it to the cartoon Beauty and the Beast, where Gaston is rallying the villagers, and they're all got their pitchforks and torches and kill the beast, kill the beast. It's like that, you know, FLORAIKU, no, FLORAIKU. And they're all like, you know, storming the Bastille because they don't like the brand. I'm like, I don't understand the level of like I said, animosity towards the brand. I don't get it. One thing that I was actually in the boutique and listening to conversation, someone said, it's because you're paying for packaging. And I do want to show off the fact that, yeah, they go next level when it comes to packaging. I mean, this one is Sand and Skin. This is gorgeous, by the way. But this one has a lot more airplay. This is an absolutely brilliant, beautiful vanilla, musky fragrance. But have a look at this. Now, this lid, I'm not going to do it all because I can see myself dropping it. This lid comes off. Here's a travel 10 mil of the actual fragrance. You then put that, and that top lid, I'm gonna put it down, excuse me. So I'll do it here, it'll be easier. So this comes off, tick-tock. That then you put your 10 mil inside, you put the lid on top, and now you've got this really cool travel, you know, something you can put in your bag or whatever it may be. Or you put this on your shelf and another fragrance that just pops. I mean, it's just very gorgeous looking. As mentioned, some people say, oh, yeah, but you're paying for the packaging. Yeah, okay, sure. I mean, think of a Louis Vuitton bag. I mean, it's just a bag. I mean, there's a million bags that you can buy at Target, Kmart, but no, a Louis Vuitton bag is because you're making a statement. So for me, it's the same thing. This is calf leather that's being used, it's printed, it's hand stitched. I mean, there's so many, anyway. I like this brand. And then there's the fragrance. And I do rate these fragrances. I have a number in my collection. When we went to the France fragrance tour, I bought a number of them. I had them already pinged, sort of lined up. One of them that I had lined up was this In the Dark. Now, not that I want you to, so as I present the 5 fragrances today, not that I'm gonna say this is first, this is second, but what I am gonna say is, please go test this out. So put aside your Kill the Beast and just test out In the Dark and see what it does for you. This is 10 out of 10, actually 100 out of 10, because no matter who I show this brand to, no matter when I'm wearing it, the reception that I get from it is phenomenal. It's an all year round, and this is another reason why, an all year round fragrance. Summer, winter, it works perfectly. The weather here in Melbourne is ridiculous. You can fry an egg on the floor at the moment. I don't know if you can hear that fan in the background. I was trying to do it without. I was sweating like profusely. So yeah, anyway, the aircon is on. I was wearing this before we caught up with everybody for the France fragrance tour in Paris. It was kind of fresh. It was cool. I was testing this. I had a tester, and I was wearing In the Dark. It was amazing. People were really, actually, in my opinion, I think works better in cooler weather. As I mentioned, as I was wearing it, people around me were going, whoa, what are you wearing today? Kevin in particular was like, bro, what are you wearing? So In the Dark. Now, what I love about this, and I don't want to tell you what's in the fragrance, because the moment that I tell you, it'll then create that, oh yeah, it's this. I've shown a number of people, what are you detecting? And these are perfume lovers. I'm not just talking, someone who doesn't understand niche perfumery. These are people around me who love niche perfumery, understand my collection, are my son in particular, very good when it comes to detecting notes. No idea. It's like, I don't know what that is, but it's gorgeous, whatever that is. And I'm like, what's the one key hero note? And he's like, I don't know. And almost to the point, he was like, what's wrong with me? But that's the beauty of this fragrance, in that it is this gorgeous composition that just, it makes you happy. It has a scent profile that emanates joy through this projection of the air. It's a fragrance that you can dress up or dress down. I was wearing it recently at a formal event or a formal function, and it was great with a suit on. I can wear it, you know, just casually. I can smell it as I'm talking to you. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I'm going to tell you what's in it so you're aware of it, or should I just leave it a mystery? You'll look anyway, so you can go find out for yourself. Three, my lord. 4 core notes. There's multiple others. The 4 core notes is peppermint, so it has a peppermint note, lemon, rose, and incense. You do struggle to go, oh yeah. And as I said, for me, the hero note is that rose, and yet the rose is not discernible as a clear rose. Sandra, my wife, does not like rose in fragrance. She finds it a little bit old-fashioned. And yet she was smelling this, and again, another one is like, why are you hiding these from me? So here's a fragrance that is just glorious. I was pointing here, but it's actually here. Just glorious. So I don't detect the peppermint, I'll be honest with you. I do get a slight lemon, but not. Sometimes, okay, so Xerjoff do a lot of sort of citruses, and you can detect that lemon sort of vibe in the fragrances, almost, yeah, so you can detect that lemon vibe. Whereas here, you're getting the lemon freshness, but with like a berry-like rose. And then you get this incense touch. All of it is just so beautifully balanced. It is a very, very round composition. It's a fragrance that anybody can wear, meaning that man, woman, if you're old, if you're young, it's a fragrance that will it's just perfect. One that does not get a lot of airplay, and I want to put on your radar, as I said, if you're going to look at any of these, In the Dark is what you should go check out first, because it's glorious when it comes to its sillage, projection, things of that nature. Getting a very confident moderate. It does have great presence. It does seem to work better. It works great in summer, but it does seem to work better in cooler weather as it going out, things of that nature. I wore it last night. So I wore it during the day, and it was good, but I wore it last night. We went scootering. We have scooters. And Sandra, with my sillage, and by the time we went scootering, it would have been probably about an hour and a half since spraying. And she's like, you need to give me that perfume. Again, like I'm gatekeeping it. The sillage on it is gorgeous. So great fragrance all year round. And I think I've covered everything. Oh, longevity, you're looking about 6+ hours. Again, cooler weather, it does extend itself a lot longer. And then when you buy it, you get all that beautiful packaging with it. So anyway, gorgeous fragrance. All right, next one. Boom. Let me move on. Small drink, please. You know what? I'm going to tough it out. Keep going. It's another brand that doesn't get a lot of airplay. It's a brand new brand, fairly new. Obvious is the name. They are about, okay, so you get a brand like Paris Monte Carlo, which is very much about the celebration of the core note. The way that Obvious do it is that they grab a particular personality or a characteristic how do I define this? They grab a theme. So they grab a theme, in this case fig, but then they bring all these other elements to support this theme. Not necessarily are they trying to be like Paris Monte Carlo, true to the note, but surely should smell like this, boom, boom, boom. Here they're saying, we want to present to you a fig, and this is now our creative interpretation of it. In this case here, if you love the fig note, this is absolutely magical. My son, who is, so this is my other son, not Nelson. So Farron, he is an absolute lover of anything Xerjoff. If I were to grab, doesn't matter what bottle, just put that lid on top, and he'll go, oh, I love this, I just love it. Without even spraying, I love this, I love this. So he said to me recently, kind of guilty and almost like he was cheating on Xerjoff, I really love these guys. So Amboise is one of the fragrances, and he cannot get enough of that one. So if you like woody, it has a very dry papyrus, black pepper, woody base, just divine, gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. He's a big, big fan of this. And this one here is a beautiful celebration of an aquatic fig, bada bing. Now, the thing that I love about, and I'm wearing it today, this is one I can smell constantly. It just needs a little bit more of a spray. So I've got one here that's constantly popping on me, and I'll tell you that's the last one. So I like to spray 3 maximum, so I do have 4 of UNE FIGUE on me. And what you get out of this is this beautiful, it opens like green fig leaf. So you get not necessarily dry, because there is there is a fruitiness to it. It then has a mixture of this aquatic sea breeze, but it's a stormy sea. It's not sunshine and bright, and not that it's a dark sort of Megamate style sort of heaviness, but there is stormy clouds around. There is one particular note in here, which is the rosemary, and I feel like rosemary gives it a beautiful green, but it also gives this like a herbal touch to it. When it does dry down, it does go into more of a fruit fig-like fragrance, in amongst all those other notes that are there. Let me just do a little smell. I'm sweating like crazy, but right here, actually, just then the one key note was that fig leaf. It's that very clear, crisp fig note that pops through. Fantastic as a summer fragrance, but fantastic as a cooler weather fragrance too. This is something you can wear all year round. Glorious to wear it. And maybe the reason why this one, obvious, doesn't ping as much, the bottle is very pared back. And actually, if you compare the two, so you go, oh yeah, but I'm paying for packaging with this sexy, bougie looking thing, versus here where it has a cork sort of style bottle. So maybe that's, again, why not a lot of people talk about it. It's just a very sort of pared back sort of brand. But the juice, the actual fragrances themselves, on point, and a big recommendation, especially UNE FIGUE, works well now for summer or winter, no matter where you are in the world. Bada bing, and I will have a drink. And I'm wrapping this one up, so we got one more. All right, so I mentioned before that my good friend Kevin, who is a master of so many, his knowledge on perfume is exceptional. Excusez-moi. Why is he a master? Because he has the Oillataguerre boutique. He comes across so many different fragrances. A lot of people are always presenting, wanting to get their fragrances in his store. As I was showing him the lineup, I showed him this. He's like, "What's this, bro?" He's like, "Oh, what kind of brand is this?" This is Eau du Soreil. The brand is NAOMI GOODSIR. She's an Aussie, but uses international perfumers. And this is the most incredible hidden gem ever. Now, actually, this is what happened, because he looked at this and he turned up his nose. He wasn't impressed with the packaging. It is very pared back, so you compare that to this guy here, super pared back, like, what is this? Anyway, Kevin did this. He opens this up and he's like, "Whoa, that's really good." He's like, "Bro, what is this?" All right, so give you a heads up. Eau du Soreil, if you love tobacco style fragrances, but now done in the most unique, and sometimes I find that some tobacco fragrances are a little bit like this with a little bit like that. This is its own beast. Eau du Soreil stands alone on this cliff when it comes to the way it expresses itself as a tobacco fragrance. Not for everybody. Another one, Sandra does not like, actually here's the thing, she doesn't like the scent in the air. Sorry, she doesn't like the smell up close, and doesn't like the opening. I'll tell you about that in a second. But then later on, I'm like, "Do you like this one? Can you smell that?" And she's like, "Oh, that is actually really nice." So let me show you this picture here. So there's an incredible artist, well, there was, Caravaggio, and the guy's wild. I mean, the things that he created, and I love how, yeah, you know, the guy's super cool. He's the Galtieri of his years. Just did things in such a unique way. So this is Bacchus. And I love that we are familiar with the god of good times. Interestingly, and if you go down, the fruit is rotten. So the pomegranate has split open, so it's overripe essentially. The apple is rotten, and quince. Now, interestingly, quince is also, this quince is also not good, but it's because it has a worm. So that is not necessarily rotting because it's just been there for too long. It has a worm inside, so there's something wrong with it. Now, I find that when you open this, the first spray that it has, you think to yourself, I'm going to enjoy this beautiful picture of, you know, the god of party, Bacchus. But the moment you spray, you're getting the rotting elements. You get this overripe. You get this accentuated, exaggerated fruit notes of mango, of these berries. There's a heaviness. I remember when I first experienced this fragrance. This is very early in the channel. A wonderful young lady by the name of Laura worked for a distributor here in Australia called T2M, and she said, we were doing this sort of lineup, and she put this forward, and I remember that she gave me the right of refusal essentially, and she put this one forward, and I smelled it, and I'm like, bleh, that's yuck. I'm like, no. And she's like, okay, well, I know I gave you the right of refusal, but I'm also giving you, I need to push back on some. And I'm like, no, I really, really don't like this, and I can't. She's like, please, just, this has to go in. This has to go in the lineup. I'm glad that I listened to her, that I wasn't stubborn, because she let me borrow the bottle back then, because in the end, I fell in love with this fragrance. It's so divine. It's really, and unfortunately, it is for veterans and five-star generals. You'll find that this is not necessarily for everybody, and that's because those opening fruit notes is very exaggerated on purpose. When it dries down, you're getting all these other facets coming through, and along with this beautiful hay-like tobacco. It's gorgeous. If you love tobacco fragrances, this is a minimum in your collection. It is gorgeous. I'd love you to test it. But be prepared for that very wacky, overripe, just exaggerated fruit notes of, like I said, there's no melon in it, but melon has that very exaggerated fruit, and that's what you get in this melon and mango and everything else. As it begins to dry itself down, you are getting things like coconut and chocolate coming through, this gorgeous, gorgeous honey. It's not overtly sweet though, so it's not this, and it's actually, it's not so much honey, it's more like the bee's wax, so there is a touch of animalic to it. Sandra did point out that the thing that she finds, she says that it has this on the opening, it has this sweetness, alluring, but with this sassy, wrong smell, essentially. And I think it's just this beautiful balance between that attraction, repulsion piece that I think makes something super interesting. If it's all just sunshine, well, it's just sunshine, but if you have moments of shade and color and different, it makes everything just a little bit more special. Boom, bada boom, ba boom, I'm done. One of my lights went out because I'm getting distracted. I'm just gonna shift over. Did it go out? Yes, it went out. All good, doesn't matter. So there it is, 5 fragrances that are not necessarily pinging on a lot of people's radars. But before I go any further, I'm gonna stop because I just realized that this thing's about to pop. I'll be back. Bada boom, and back. All right, I just wanna do really quick, because again, my notes were all destroyed by me dropping my mate everywhere. Just some really quick pointers in case I don't know if I defined it really quickly, define them well. This, if you want to know quickly what it is, a spicy rose incense. So it has this slight touches, and not spicy as in pepper or anything of that nature. But there's this green sharpness that's in there, but mixed in with this berry-like rose scent profile with a very incense at the very end. Again, composition on this is exceptional, very, very enjoyable to wear. When it comes to eau de Soreil, the one thing that I didn't talk about is its decadence and luxurious nature. On the opening, yes, a little bit unsettling with those overripe, almost rotting fruits. Not rotting, but just overripe fruits, exaggerated, accentuated. But when it dries down, you are getting tinges of that chocolate. You are getting tinges of this coconut that sort of seems to run like a toasted coconut. It's really, really impressive, and an absolute statement maker. Last thing I didn't mention about this is that it has enormous sillage. You don't need a lot. Don't spray, overspray on this. Its presence is just phenomenal. As a cool weather fragrance, my goodness gracious, is just incredible. And the last one that I don't think I elaborated enough is when Velvet Iris. This is a beautiful floral, subtle floral fragrance. If you're new to Iris, great place to begin. All these other pieces that are in the fragrance or are present there create something that's quite unique. Sometimes Iris is very polarizing, you're polarizing. Whereas here I find that it's super appealing, that this is something that you can get used to what an iris, the beauty of what an iris can actually do. So massive recommendation, a big love for that. Okay, bada bing, there it is. Now I've got some announcements. Actually, so here's the thing, everyone, if you love this review, if you love the conversation when it comes to putting something on your radar that's a little bit different, I'd love you to support the channel. Massive support to the channel is by subscribing, naturally. So if you enjoyed this, from now on, Mate Talks, I'm gonna kick off with a review really quickly, and that way, if you wanna now leave and move on to other things, fantastic. If you wanna, one thing that I work very hard on is creating a community and creating a family of perfume lovers, all of us unified in the desire to find something new and different. So the second part to the Mate Talk will be now announcements and other things that I'm doing. But if you're only here just to find out some new stuff, thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did enjoy it, I'd love you to subscribe and continue to support the channel. All right, let me kick off with some of those early announcements that I put forward to everybody. The number one is that I will be in Milan in 2 weeks' time, and I do want to do a meetup at FUEGUIA. What happened is that last week I announced that I'll be doing it on the Wednesday, the 19th. Had a number of people who are coming in from overseas who saying, I'm gonna miss it. If only it was on the Thursday. I'm all about improv. So I quickly reached out to FUEGUIA and said I'd like to move it across to the 20th. So we're now doing it Thursday the 20th. It will be still at 6:30. The store closes at, so this, you arrive when you arrive, okay? But the store closes at 8. I do need to be gone before then because there is an Excellence event that I've RSVP'd and I need to go to that. But I will be there till about, say, probably about 7:45, something to that in nature. So yeah, so if you'd like to join me, I'd love to be in the FUEGUIA boutique with you. Next week, I'm going to talk about FUEGUIAs that I would recommend to you. So if you are new and you are going to be there, because as soon as you walk in, it's overwhelming. You see this hexagon, but it's a hexagonal. I don't know, I made that up. But basically this unusual design, and there's a million fragrances, and you're like, where do I begin? Let me help you. So next week, I'll talk about some of the fragrances that I would recommend to you in different families. Everything, once you understand the code or the how things work, super easy to comprehend. Boom. So yeah, so that's FUEGUIA in person. Look forward to being next to you. Look forward to hearing your comments about all things FUEGUIA and also all things niche perfumery, things of that nature. Okay. The next thing that I want to talk about is, NFC is going to be 4 years old. It's crazy, baby. I mean, when I first started, I was excited to think, true story, for those who've been with the channel for a while, I've heard the story before, that I could I get to 3,000? I wonder if I'll get to 3,000. Yeah, so to see that the channel has grown in such a way, this community that has evolved. If you want to know, if you want to stay even deeper connections when it comes to the niche perfumery and the conversations we have, you can become a member of the NFC channel. It costs $4 here. The price is around the world, $4 Aussie. And now you get access to the NFC Discord server. And one thing that I love is the community in that server in there, the conversation that is active and just, yeah, there's such a great sense of camaraderie. And it's across from people who've just discovered niche to now individuals who have a vast collection. So, and this is a great place where you can ask a series of questions and have a whole bunch of different people, perfume lovers, at different stages of their journey to give you an answer. So if you would like to join that, then jump on the NFC YouTube channel. You see the join button, you can become a member. Boom. Now, NFC, 4 years old, I've got prizes. One thing that I love, and it's a little bit overexposed, but Mihan Aromatics. This is a local Aussie company. I fell in love with these way before the channel was anything. The gentleman's name is Josh Mihan. He's the creator. He's the creative director of the brand, and it's his vision coming to life. His expression of what Melbourne is. A lot of fragrances are inspired by experiences that he had within the Melbourne area. Gorgeous fragrances. They're very transformative in the sense they take you to a place. It's more than just, you know, just a nice woody smell or something. There's great, in smelling it, you are transported, you are taken to what the fragrance is trying to say to you. Now, I've got these 3 gift sets. So if you become a member, stop. If you become a subscriber, so all you gotta do is subscribe to the channel and you'll instantly go into the draw. You will get, if you are a subscriber, you'll get 1 entry. Members of the channel now get a double entry. So you'll have more presence on that wheel. For those who are familiar with the way I love to do it, I love spinning that wheel, and it's a random selection. But 3 people around the world, I'll send these anywhere around the world, will have a chance to win. That'll be announced in 2 weeks' time. I will be going to Exxon's. I am catching up with Josh and his beautiful wife, Jules, in Exxon's. They're gonna spin the wheel. 3 people are gonna win. So that's in 2 weeks' time. We will then culminate, you know, we'll continue, so then 4 weeks from now. So we will then do the next prize. And this is the grand prize that I am looking forward to sharing with everyone. This is the 10th anniversary Kajal Le Mans Noir. I gotta take a drink, excuse me. In here is a 30 ml. I actually received this as a gift, and I'm gonna gift it to you guys. I'm re-gifting, what? It was a massive function that happened in Cannes. It was the 10-year anniversary of the Kajal brand. This is a pre-release of Le Mans Noir. It's a gorgeous bottle. I'm not going to open it, but it's a gorgeous bottle. It's in there. I've used it maybe once or twice. It is my bottle, but I'm going to give it. Away. So someone has a chance to win this gorgeous prize here. Again, I'll send it anywhere around the world. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel. I'll be able to see the little red dot from YouTube to say that you are a subscriber. If you're a member, bada bing, you get double entry, baby. Boom. All right, now, here we go. I'm going to settle in. What's my time? It's going to be a long month to talk because we're now about to tip over. So I'll be interested to see if anyone stayed for this long. But this is answering a question here. Excuse me. Have a look at the lengthy backwards and forward. We were pen pals on this question, and as we spoke to one another. So Roy raised the question last week, and as I said, he said it with a sense of friendship in his tone, and that is that there is a suspicion, which is understandable, if someone says that everything is perfect, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. It naturally raises the question, how is that possible? How is it that everything could be a 10 out of 10? Good question. 3 points, and if you read that, you'll see the backwards and forwards in that. So I'm going to grab a few of those pieces. I'm going to add one last piece to that, and that is that I'm not the oracle. Because as I was preparing, this is the one point that needs to be stated. I'm only a scout. I'm not there's a great scene in the movie Birdman, for those who've seen it, where the critic for Broadway, she's the oracle. Because whatever she says it in her own words, whatever I say makes or breaks. I could either make you a success or I could sink you. So she's the oracle. I'm not the oracle. So I'm only the scout. I've always seen myself as a scout. And that's because I love exploring. I'm always inquisitive and curious as to what's around the corner. What more is there that for me to find out? If I turn over this stone, am I going to find something new? Have a look at this. So I'm a big ramen lover. I mean, I love food overall, but ramen is my thing. I'm this weakness. And I thought I knew where ramen heaven in Melbourne was. A friend of mine said, there's a new place. You haven't, I'm like, I know all the places. The arrogance. I know all the places. And he says, no, you don't know this place. So I was in the city and I stood in line. Now this is something that goes against my religion. I don't like standing in line for things. I just find it, anyway, I won't go into it. But I stood in line and this is what I'm sending to my family. We have a group chat called La Familia and I'm sending them after I experienced these photos. And it was really to tease them to say, I stood in line. Even then they're going, whoa, we stood in line? And then I wrote this and then this happened. And I discovered what is the most mind-blowing, the most incredible ramen in the world. Melbourneites, if you want to know, Menshu is the place. You got to go. It's just like, forget about it. This is just incredible, incredible place to eat. That ensued all these other comments. Wow, no way. Let me know. When can we go together? Well, let's do it again. Blah, blah, boom. So what I love doing is being the scout. I love finding things and then putting it out to people. But I'm not the oracle. What I like afterwards is people going, it was okay, it wasn't that great, you know? And then we start a conversation. Or what didn't you like about it? And they're like, you don't even know what you're talking about. So it's all banter, but it's good to disagree. There's nothing wrong with that. But the bottom line is I love to put things forward. You now make the call. All right, the next thing, and I said this in my comments to Roy, there's a great song. We all have individual tastes. Sorry, this is where I'm going. We all have individual tastes. So for me, thinking that I'm the oracle, if I say it's 7 out of 10, for argument's sake, well then it's like, well, the oracle has just spoken. Well, you know, that because we all have different tastes, you know, that doesn't necessarily resonate or that may not ring true to you. There's a great song by, it was written in the 1930s, I think, but Chet Baker made a version of it. This is the version that I discovered as a young man, and I always was intrigued by the lyrics of this song. If you listen to the way that Chet actually sings it, there is such tenderness. It is one of the most beautiful love songs ever sung. You know, the music, his voice, there's this, you can feel the love that he has for this person. However, look at the lyrics. Some of the lyrics are, your looks are unphotographable. Actually, I wrote it here. Your looks are laughable and unphotographable. This person is ugly. And I'm sorry, I mean, that sounds like a very brutal thing to say, but these lyrics tell you that this person is not classic beauty. That they're not like someone looks at them and go, oh my gosh, you know, like just like Venus coming out of the seashell. However, and this is the clincher here, he says, but you're my favorite piece of art. He says, you're my favorite work of art, sorry. You're my favorite work of art. So to his eyes, or you know, the way the song is being sung, this person, there can't be anybody better. They don't have classic beauty or beauty overall by the sound of it, but this person is beyond beautiful to this individual singing this song. And I feel the same way about fragrances. Sometimes I put forward a fragrance, Absinthe, for instance, and people go, meh, I've had better. And for me, I'm like, I don't know where, because this thing is divine, and this thing is phenomenal, and this thing evolves in such a glorious way, and this thing expresses itself and reflects me. But this is me. This is, you know, this is the way I'm seeing it, but not necessarily how you're seeing it. The last point is, why 10 out of 10? Early on in the channel, I would do this ranking thing, and I would show a silhouette of a bottle, and I would say, do I love it? And I'd always give it 100%. And you see this thing. And then I would then put it against Sandra, and Sandra then, that one there would change. Sometimes 20%, sometimes 50, sometimes 80. And so that one there would bounce up and down. And people also were like, I don't get this thing. Why do you love everything? You know, can you give me some stuff that you don't like? All right, here's my point. If I talk about it on the channel, it means that I bought it, that I purchased it, that I put my money against it. Why would I talk about something that I kind of like? why would I buy something that I kind of like? Why would I spend money on something that is a 7 out of 10? 7 out of 10 means that I'm not so sure about it. There's something missing from it, whatever that might be. Whereas if I went out and bought it, and the only, and so you saw what I do. I test extensively, and I road test this in, you know, as much as possible, sometimes in extreme locations like I did with the Australian Open. I don't blind buy. I'm winding you guys up because I want to show you this. I don't blind buy, he says. But I blind bought this. What? So so the only thing I blind buy are the Torinos. I haven't smelled the new Torino 24. Libertine Perfumery, they actually brought it in early. Normally it takes Libertine quite a few months before it lands. I know it's been around for a while. I haven't looked at any notes. I have no idea what I was going to say. The only thing I saw was that graphic image that Zorjoff do, but I didn't study it. I saw it and I'm like, no. It was almost like, I can't look at that, it's bad. So I'm looking forward to doing my usual alongside my financier as we open this up and unbox and blind smell the new Torino 24. So classically I don't blind buy. The only thing I do is that one there. So everything is robust testing that I do. I test it on me, I then lend it to the little testers. I lend it out to whether my family or Sandra, and we all sort of experience these fragrances. So when I cross over and I'm like, yep, I'm buying that, that's 10 out of 10 because I'm going to spend money on it. So it's got to be 10 out of 10. So I always, and I said this in my comment to Roy, I only talk about things that I love. There are things that I don't like. There are things that so even in the pantheon, there were some that actually ping for people. And I won't mention it because the other thing. Okay, let me come back to that. I won't mention it. There's a reason for it. But in that collection, there were some that didn't quite ping for me. Interestingly, it pinged for Elias and Josh. But for me, I didn't give it a 10 out of 10. I'm not prepared to spend money on that. So I'm like, yeah, not for me. So if it's in the collection, if I'm talking about it, it's because I've committed to it, and therefore it has to be 10 out of 10. Now, the other reason why I don't talk about, so in case there's this question, why don't you talk about stuff that you don't like? And that's because our taste, this for me in particular, always evolving. It's constantly evolving. So right now, I may not like a particular note, incense, oud, iris. There's so many different sort of unique patchouli. People are like, oh, that patchouli, yuck. But what if in 2 years' time, I'm like, whoa, where has this been all my life? You know, so, but here I have created this content going, bah, rubbish, don't like it. And again, I go back to, I'm not the oracle. So for me to go, bah, this is rubbish, it's not my place. I don't have the right to do that. I can only talk about stuff that I love and that I've committed myself into because it's in my collection, and therefore it's 10 out of 10, and therefore I love it. Does that all make sense? I hope so. I'd love to hear your comments. Again, read the dialogue that existed between myself and Roy. Really enjoyed the pen pal nature of that conversation and the exchange that occurred there. Roy, I think I put it to you last time. If you can make it to Milan, love to meet you, brother. I know you're in Europe. I can't remember the location. I'm pretty certain it was Scandinavia or around that region there. I won't, here, put a flag, or I'll put the country right there, boom. Would love to meet you if you're able to come across. Anyway, bada bing, that's me for the week. Another massive mate talk, bada boom, but hopefully this time around, I did it with, I know you're here for the reviews, and so yeah, I'm gonna, from now on, hand on my heart, that's the way, but hand on my heart, I'm gonna do reviews first off, out of the gate really quickly. And then if you want to hang around and stay with me for a little bit longer and we can talk about other things, that'd be cool. But, you know, I'll leave that with you guys. As always, if you enjoy this content, I'd love you to subscribe, become, you know, help us out when it comes to the work that we're doing when it comes to all things niche perfumery, NFC, all that exciting stuff. Grazie a tutti. We'll see you all, hopefully in Milan, but next week we'll talk about all things FUEGUIA. Have an awesome week, everyone.